Question of Reddit. What's the most pathetic / ridiculous thing another man has done in attempt to assert his dominance over you? Had a dude get mad at me for talking to his girl all the time. I was her econ tutor. A guy was mad at me while sitting at a light and was revving his engine. It sounded like he yelled it at the red line, and there was a big crack sound and smoke started coming out of the front of his car. The dummy blew his engine. We once had a candidate come into an interview and legit say he wanted to sit behind the desk because he was going to be asking the questions to decide if he wanted to work with us. I still think he'd gotten some bad advice about having confidence. I left, but our HR manager flipped her shit. The only time I have seen her call security. I was standing in the breezeway outside a friend's apartment while in college, and a guy coming down the stairs from an upper floor kinda tripped near the bottom of the stairs and stumbled into me. It was clear he was super drunk and immediately got aggressive. He was so worked up about being tougher than me for some reason that he started doing push-ups at me while me and my friends just laughed. Fortunately, his friends came and apologized and took him back upstairs, but it was definitely the most bizarre assertion of dominance I've ever encountered. Was on a 4-hour flight, in a 2-person row. The guy demanded to have full access to the middle armrest, would push my arm off it if I ever got near it. When asked about what his hobbies are, he responded with, "Hobbies are for children and single women. I work." I used to tend bar in Milwaukee, and there is nothing that triggers self-conscious winners more than seeing someone drinking something they don't like. I cannot tell you how many arguments began with some dude, always unsolicited / unprovoked, mind you, feeling compelled to judge and educate other guys about what they're drinking, or not drinking. You drink that piss, you pussy, and it goes downhill from there. No one cares. Drink what you like and shut up. Literally last week, some really drunk dude who I have never once met or interacted with tried to fight me, to impress the girls he was with. It was completely ridiculous, and his way of trying to initiate it was just repeatedly body checking me on the dance floor, which I ignored because I thought he was just being drunk and dumb. Turns out one of his friends had to stop him from blindsiding me with a sucker punch to the face, assuming he was able to aim that well. Some people do not mix well with alcohol, apparently. Generally, guys purposely bumping into you when you walk past them, especially if they're with friends. Not letting go of a handshake. It happened a few times and always make me wanna treat it as a hostile action. Last time it happened, I just started caressing their hand with my finger, and the guy jerked away. I winked at him after. In junior high, I remember this one bully that would get on his tiptoes and bow out his chest like a gorilla, and get all in your face whenever it felt threatened. It was such a funny stereotype maneuver. He tried to drink water faster than me. No one drinks water faster than me. Threatened to beat me if I so much as look at his girlfriend again. His girlfriend was my sister. I maintained eye contact while laughing, as she dumped him on the spot. I was walking to my car after school and this guy getting on his car just yells at me, "You ugly as fuck, bro." I flip him off without even looking at him and he yelled, "Bitch," and drove off. How petty do you have to be to tell someone minding their own business that they're ugly? I work in a grocery store and sometimes help unload the delivery trucks, and our delivery comes in on what we call cages, like a 6-foot cage on wheels, and obviously one that's full of toilet paper will be really light and one filled with 2-liter bottles of juice are the heavy ones. The lift that lowers them from the truck has that patterned metal floor, and you have to pull the heavy cages hard to get them off. Now, I'm 6'8", I don't have a lot of weight on me, but I can pull these cages off just fine. But there's a guy who's like 6'2", and is always trying to show how strong he is. So, Whenever I'm helping and he's there, he always insists he gets the heavy cages, and that I get the little guy cages. Everyone agrees he needs to grow up. A former coworker. He would just stand in the way and refuse to move. Even if he wasn't in the way, he would purposely get in the way. I work in a narrow kitchen, so you can imagine how annoying that could be. At one particular moment, I was carrying a bulky 20-pound box, and I decided to do that. I pretended to not see him and barreled into him. He fell over and got incredibly mad at me, started talking about how I have no muscle. It was pretty funny. It was a display of the most fragile masculinity I've ever seen. One time at a house party, a few of us were talking to some of the girls there, and one of the guys randomly started talking about how he does MMA. Then another guy joined in, and those two started wrestling in front of the girls. I don't think their shirts needed to come off either, but what the fuck do I know? A friend tried to make himself look good in front of his crush by literally putting me in a random chokehold for a laugh. Turns out it was because I was talking to her. I had a girlfriend at the time, we were just talking. It wasn't a chokehold though, it was basically just a headlock, so I decided to correct him. I was fairly oblivious and didn't realize this was a failed alpha move. Creeped the shit out of his crush that he would do that out of nowhere, and she stopped talking to him. Apparently she quite liked him up until that point, so he kinda shot himself in the foot. Was out having a drink, started chatting to the guy next to me when I learned he too is a musician. He then tells me, "You're not a musician." I find it offensive when people tell me they're a musician when they haven't put in the time and dedication that I have. Okay dude, come down off your ego trip, Christ. Not me, but my dad. My dad has season tickets for the AHL hockey team in town. One day, he was late for a game, and arrived to see a teen in his seat with his girlfriend. My dad kindly asked him to move, explaining that these were his seats. The teen responded with a quick, "No it's not." My dad then showed him his season tickets, and pointed out on the kids' tickets that their actual seats were on a few rows up. The kid got up and tried to square up to my dad. My father was just like, "Really dude?" and ignored him. The girlfriend began screaming at him for being an asshole. Long story short, dad kindly asked kid to get out of his seat, and kid tried to intimidate my dad for this. I worked in a residence life over the summer at a moderately sized college campus. The pay was good, but there were tons of broken furniture and even more piss-stained mattresses. Anyway, I was good enough at doing this that I became sort of an on-site supervisor. The supervisor would tell us what building we would be evaluating/emptying that day, and then I would basically take over as soon as we left. One day, we had a 5-story dorm to go through, and all of the mattresses were due to be replaced. I told the group, there were 7 or 8 of us, that the easiest way would be to form a relay down the stairs. 2 people would go to the rooms on the topmost floors and toss them down the steps to the next level. And then they would toss them down the steps, all the way down until the last 2 people on the bottom would put the mattresses in the trunk. And then, every floor we'd swap off, so people could have the easier jobs. We're moving along ridiculously fast under this system. We cleared out a whole floor in just under an hour. And then the supervisor showed up and told me that, no, everyone needed to carry out their own mattresses, because he didn't want lazy people on the team. In other words, he wanted everyone to go to a room on the 5th floor and carry a mattress down 5 flights of stairs to the truck, all through the day. He told us that it was an easy job, and then proceeded to make a show of lifting up 2 mattresses on his shoulders and jumping down a half-flight steps onto the landing. He did this 2 or 3 times, complete with loud grunts. To this day, I have no idea how he didn't get injured, and then berated us for being lazy. He didn't make us jump, but he made sure that he would stay to watch us to do it the right way. We finished the next floor by the end of the day. Once when I was walking on a street, a guy was walking behind me and started to walk faster so he could pass me. I didn't care, but then he just stared at me straight in the eyes and walks into a tree.